Winter's first trip. Are you excited?
Yes.
Are you excited to work this?
A lot of people in here. Yes, look.
So good afternoon, folks. My name's Isaac. I'm going to be the cabin operator taking you all up to the top of the mountain. Is this anyone's first time coming up? Yeah. Sweet. So quite a few. So we have a nice 15-minute trip ahead of us. The average speed is going to be 13.6 miles per hour, about 20 feet per second. And we are just now leaving an elevation of 6,559 feet. At the top of the mountain, it is 10,378 feet. We're going to be traveling over almost 4,000 foot of elevation difference and over 2.7 miles with the cable. As we go along, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I'll do my best to answer it for you. If I don't know it, I'll make it up to make you feel better.
Va a durar 15 minutos. Vamos a subir como casi 4,000 pies. Son 2.7 millas de cada.
Oh, you have a translator.
Can I speak?
The tram's actually been operating for a nice 51 years. Construction was originally 1964 to 66, so it took 2 years to build, cost $2.1 million. If you were to rebuild it today with inflation, you'd be looking more like $30 to $40 million and up, and that's a pretty low estimate. Just these new cars alone were over half the original cost. Now you folks are going to notice what looks like a hiking trail. It's going to end up starting on the side opposite from me. It's going to follow underneath of us, follow us up to just the first tower. Now I know it's not going to look like much. You can start to see it kind of on that ridge on the far side from me. There you go. And it's going to pass under us right now. That's the original service road. These are in the 60s to bring up all the trucks, crews, cranes, and equipment to build the first tower. Kind of gives you a good idea of that erosion rate and how little the mountain changes. Last time we had a rock slide was about 20 years ago now. This first tower is 232 foot tall, leans towards Albuquerque at an 18-degree angle. As we pass over it, there's going to be a slight swing and sway. It's nothing to worry about. Really, the best thing to remember, there's no reason to panic unless I panic. And to give you folks a little bit of a size reference to how big everything is out there, if you look off the side opposite from me out to the second hill, it's kind of towards our tail end. There's a big boulder on top, we call that golf ball rock. That is 2 times the size of this tram car.
Wow.
Now for you guys on this side, so that it's a little bit easier for you guys to see, if you look on the top of the hill that we just passed on my side, the big boulder on top that kind of looks like a cannon. We're real creative here, we call that cannon rock. But that's the same size as the tram.
Like a cement mixer.
You end up looking back at it here in about 10 seconds. You'll see underneath of it, it's actually balanced between 2 other rocks with enough room that I can lay down under it. Just get some paint on that cup. So the last size reference for you guys is back on the opposite side again. There's this big oval rock we're like passing now. That's called Fish Rock. Some people say they can see an eye, mouth, and fin. But that's into just over 3 stories tall. If you don't believe me, I understand. It took me like a year to believe it. I had to wait until I saw people next to it.
Look at this little canyon with trees in it. Or valley, I should say. Christmas trees.
Now I'm going to show you folks one of my favorite things. If you weren't aware of it, New Mexico is actually the volcano state. We have every type of volcano in the world, including one that's exclusive to New Mexico and Chile. It's called the steam volcano. Just around Albuquerque alone, we have 28 inactive volcanoes. If you guys look directly west of the city, you'll see these 3 itty-bitty hills out there. So those are part of the 7 Sisters, kind of a string of volcanoes that are out there, which you're starting to think are magma vents from Mount Taylor. That big mountain out there is one of the biggest volcanoes in New Mexico. Follow that kind of plateau off to the northwest. You'll see that weird, almost looks like Devil's Tower. That's actually the core of an eroded volcano. It's called El Cabezon. throughout the entirety of the state, there's somewhere between 3,000 to 3,500 of them. So basically anywhere and everywhere that you look. You don't really need to worry about them going off though. There's only a 1% chance in the next 100 years. Now as we get closer to the second tower, you'll notice that there's no road coming up here. Everything from here on was done by helicopter. 2,000 helicopter trips for the second tower alone, and an additional 3,000 plus for all the cable in the top. If you folks thought this at the top of the mountain, we are not even halfway yet. This is where it's going to cool down a little bit. It's going to drop a few degrees, another swing and sway, and a pretty good view of the valley on the other side. This is also where you get to find out how you feel about heights.
Nope, don't ask me that.
Hi, Kenya.
Hi, Mama. Everybody's out. Look at our shadow. It's all warm in here. Everybody's all reading.
Oh wow, that's incredible. Oh my goodness.
Alright, so not too bad. Now the other tram car's going to pass up my side here in a moment. As it does, it's going to work halfway. This is going to look like they're moving quite a bit faster than we are, but they're not. We can't, I promise. We're attached to the same cable, so we don't have a choice. We have to go the same speed no matter where we are. Think of this as a gigantic clothesline. We just can't turn around the top and bottom. That's why there's only two cars.
Other people are there.
Now they are hanging just a little bit lower than us. Whichever tram car goes down, it gets a little bit of slack. It helps relieve some of the tension on the system.
I like baby. This is my favorite part of the mountain.
Now we're going to slow down here. This is actually a really good spot to look down on either side if you're not afraid of heights. Even if you are, it's worth getting that look. So rounding up, you're about 1,000 foot in the air. This is roughly the same height as the Empire State Building, about 7.5 seconds, so you can fit the Eiffel Tower directly beneath us. Now while you're looking in the valley, there's a chance to see some animals. I'm going to make no promises. I haven't seen anything yet today, but it doesn't really mean much. It's a big mountain. Mule deer are going to be the most prevalent animal. We also have black bears, mountain lions, bobcats, lynxes, ring-tailed cats. Some of the smaller critters you might see out on the trails are going to be squirrels, chipmunks, raccoons, porcupines, skunks, foxes, wild turkey, weasels, badgers, and ferrets.
Weasels. Badgers? Badgers?
Weasels are. Is that snow? Yes, that looks like snow. Is that snow?
There's no is over there.
Now this cliff face on my side, we're going to be passing here in a moment. That looks pretty steep and rather ragged. That's a popular spot to rock climb. What makes it really impressive though is more than 50% of the people that climb that do a freehand with no equipment. This one. So this mountain's considered decaying granite to start, so it's pretty brittle. It's also an at-your-own-risk mountain, and it's considered a spin-free mountain, those permanent metal spikes, so it's all free climbing and friction clamps. But with it being so brittle, what I've been told is where if you put the friction clamps in wrong and you spread them apart, you can actually break the rocks. That's why a lot of people opt out and they climb it freehand. We call that ego boost rock.
You are like.
Yeah, you know. As you folks look around at all these cliff faces, you'll notice they have this pink, red, or almost orangish coloring to them. This is actually what helps give the mountain its name, the Sandias. About 15-20 minutes before sunset on a clear day, when the sun hits the mountain, it kind of reflects off this precursor rose glow. That's pretty much what you see on all of our postcards. So if you don't see it tonight, you can always see it in the gift shot. This is why we believe the Spanish priests, when they first came through, called this the Sandia Mountains. Sandia is Spanish for watermelon. Now, before the Spanish settlers came through, though, this mountain was originally called Turtle Mountain. Apparently, when the sun is rising, this shape that is cast kind of looks like a lumpy turtle. I don't exactly see it, but there's a few local businesses throughout town that kind of pay homage to that. show you folks my favorite spot to hike to. If you look on my side, straight out and all the way up very far, this is the highest point. There's actually a little gray building up there with a black window.
Oh, yeah.
It does become clearer the higher up we get, so I'll point to that again here in just a moment. It is called Kiwanis Cabin. It was built back during the 1930s by the CCC, the Civilian Conservation Corps. It was made for all the people working up here during the Depression, building all the trails, the power lines, and all that fun jazz, so that they could get out of the weather. As well as they ended up staying up here during the work week, as driving down the backside before it was paved took 2 to 3 hours, was rough on the cars, and during the Depression was a waste of money. The guys would actually end up spending a week to 2 weeks at a time up here just to support their families. If you still have not found it, see how the mountain slants up to the left? Follow that slants all the way out. In the tip-top corner up there is that little gray building with a black window. It blends in pretty well because it's made out of the surrounding limestone. It was actually made 3 times during the 30s. The first time they made it out of wood, it got struck by lightning and burned down. The second time they built it out of wood, the high winds during the fall get up to 100 miles an hour, ripped it off the top of the mountain. Finally, the third little piggy got smart. They built it out of stone, which made sense. If you wanted to hike over there on a nice day, it's about an hour and a half round trip hike, 3 miles round trip. I don't know that you'll have enough sunlight today unless you hustle, so I'm not going to suggest it, but it is worth it at some point. When we get to the top of the mountain, you folks are going to see we have one-way tickets for sale, so that's not for any of you. We have 50 to 200 people a day hike up. The most popular trail is called the La Luz. It is 8.5 miles, it's 4,000 foot of elevation difference, and there's a boat race for it every year. The first Sunday of August, so if anybody needs to impress your significant other, you need to sign up by May, for they make the race 9 miles long. This last year's winner did it in an hour and 24 minutes. One of my favorite record holders, his name is ALBUQUERQUE, did it in an hour and 17 minutes when he was 63. So really, my only excuse is I'm lazy. On a nice clear day up here, you'll have almost an 11,000 square mile view of the state from the top. That's about 10% of New Mexico, 360 wise. To give you an idea of how big New Mexico is, that 10% would be the entire state of Connecticut all at once. Just for a size reference, unfortunately, you're not able to see any other states up here. I know that's unfortunate, but it's true. The Earth's just not flat. Now, there may be a few small bumps as we come up in the dock. I'll try to warn you before they happen, if they happen. If I miss it, this is the official warning. If you go out hiking, just make good decisions. It looks like most people around here are adults, so don't stand directly on the cliff ledge. It's not a good idea on most mountains. This mountain's considered decaying granite. It could be an especially bad idea. Don't feed the wild animals. We like to keep them wild. We are always under a fire danger, so just don't smoke out on the trails. The smoking area is going to be the left side of this building here. It's really just because otherwise people just can't put their cigarette butts in their pocket and they flick them everywhere. We'd rather not have the mountain burned down. This main visitor center in front of us has water, vending machine, and restrooms. And the last tram down the mountain tonight is going to be right about 8 o'clock. Sunset's right at 7:30-ish, and we do first come, first serve for the tram cars back down. So if there's already 47 people in line in front of you, you will have to wait an additional 15 minutes. We won't take any more than that, as it's a weight limit thing. So we do appreciate your patience. And when we get up here, you're all going to exit off the side opposite from me. We can't open the doors until this green light above my head turns off. It takes about a minute after we've stopped moving, and you'll all be free.
Dice que ahorita tal vez pega el celular, espera.
¿Cuándo vino? ¿Él nunca? He warned us.
No. Nos vamos a quedar hasta las 11.